Yeah. Okay. I think I can. You can see my PowerPoint. So I'll do a quick revision. All right. Can you hear me, students? Can you hear me and can you see me? And can you see the PowerPoint?
Yes, sir.
Okay, fine. I hope even this is also comfortable for me. I will go with mobile today. Fine. So coming to the point. So the subject is virology and mycology, and the subject code is BMLT 5001. So here we have introduction to mycology in the unit 1, and in the unit 2 we have individual fungal diseases. Can anyone say the fungal diseases, students? Types of fungal diseases. Tell me the types of fungal diseases. Tell me the types of fungal diseases, students. We have superficial mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, then systemic mycosis and opportunistic mycosis. So whereas in the superficial mycosis, we have two types. What are the two types in superficial mycosis? They are surface infections and cutaneous infections. Surface infections are very good. Yeah. Can anyone say types of surface infections? Types of surface infections. Someone said it. Types of surface infections. Types of surface infections. One is Tinea vesicolor, Tinea nigra, and Piedra. Tinea vesicolor is caused by what fungus causes Tinea vesicolor? Pitriosporum orbiculare. Okay. Whereas Tinea nigra is caused by Hortia wernicki. And Piedra is caused by two types of fungi, black fungi and white fungi. White Piedra and black Piedra. So black Piedra is caused by P. hortia, whereas white Piedra is caused by okay. White Piedra is caused by can anyone say which fungus causes white Piedra and which fungus causes black Piedra? I don't know. I think you are not at all studying, students. No one giving answers. Okay, let me go to overview. So we discussed all of this.
Sir, excuse me, sir.
Yes, Indrajit.
Sir, black Piedra, sir. Piedra Hortia.
Yes, black Piedra by Piedra hortia, whereas white Piedra by
Trichosporum.
Trichosporum belgi. Okay, very good.
Yes, sir. Trichosporum
Belgi. Very good, very good. So black Piedra is Piedra hortia, correct. So yeah, so we discussed about introduction to mycology, then we discussed about classification of fungi, we discussed about taxonomical and morphological. Taxonomically, the fungus are belong to the phylum Thallophyta, and in the classes we have four classes: Zygomycota, Ascomycota, Bacilli, and imperfect fungi. Then we discussed about morphological classification. Then we discussed about few terms like hyphae, mycelium, conidium, mold. Then we discussed about the morphological, where we discussed about yeast-like fungi, mold, and dimorphic fungi. Then we discussed in detail about the reproduction and sporulation in fungi. We discussed about the sexual spores such as oospore, zygospore, basilospore, ascospore. Then we discussed about asexual spores, asexual spores. We have two types: vegetative and aerial. Vegetative spores include blastospores, anthrospores, chlamydiospores, whereas aerial include conidiospores, sporangiospores, microconidia, and microconidia. Then we discussed about laboratory diagnosis of fungi. We discussed about collection of specimens. So collection of specimens, today we discussed actually in the lab. How to collect nail specimens, skin specimens, and hair specimens, right? Then we discussed about direct microscopic techniques. So this fungus can be identified by four types of microscopic techniques that include KOH preparation, KOH with chalcophore, gram staining, and Indian ink preparation. So Then we discussed about culturing. We have two types of culture methods. One is STA and the other one is LPCB, right? Then we discussed about gram staining. So, sorry, tissue sections. Tissue sections can be stained with the help of PAS stain. PAS stain stands for periodic acid chip stain, which is especially used for identification of mycetoma infection. Mycetoma is a type of subcutaneous fungal infection. Okay, mycetoma is a type of subcutaneous fungal infection. So my idea is in today's lecture I will discuss in detail about this mycetoma infection. Okay, so this particular mycetoma infection can be identified. This fungus can be identified by PAS stain. So upon performing this PAS stain, we can able to identify the species. What type of mycetoma is it? Okay, so let us see this one. Then we discussed about mycosis. We have superficial mycosis, cutaneous mycosis, subcutaneous mycosis, systemic mycosis, and even opportunistic mycosis. Then we came to the unit 2. In the unit 2, we have all fungal diseases starting with superficial mycosis. So coming to the superficial mycosis, we have two types of superficial mycosis. We have surface infections and cutaneous infections. Surface infections are of three types. So these surface infections include Tinea vesicolor, Tinea nigra, and Pietra. Tinea vesicolor is due to Picrospora orbicular, Tinea nigra is due to Hortia wernicki, Pietra is due to P. hortii and Trichosporum belgi. Then we discussed about this dermatophytes in the yesterday's class. So dermatophytes means these are the fungi that will cause infection to skin, hair, and nails, right? So these dermatophytes, we discussed these 6 points actually. We discussed about introduction, classification, species of dermatophytes, clinical infections caused by dermatophytes, laboratory diagnosis of dermatophytes, and treatment of dermatophytes. Coming to the introduction, all dermatophytes can infect only skin, hair, and nails. They cannot penetrate into the subcutaneous layer. They can also break down and utilize keratin. Clinically, these infections are called pinworm or roundworm ringworm infections, and these dermatophytes can also cause this. I think okay. So these dermatophytes also causes hypersensitivity reactions, allergic reactions in the body, right? So these are the introduction to dermatophytes. Then we classified the dermatophytes. Dermatophytes are classified depending upon their genus and habitat. Depending upon the genus, these dermatophytes are of three types: Trichophyton species, Microsporum species, and Epidermophyton species. Trichophyton will infect all three areas: hair, skin, and nail. Microsporum hair, skin, whereas the Epidermophyton skin and nail. So a simple shortcut is epidermis means skin. So Epidermophyton will only infect skin and nail, whereas Microsporum will infect both hair and skin. Okay. Then depending upon their habitat, these fungi are divided into three types: anthropophilic, that will infect humans; zoophilic, animals; and geophilic, soil. Then we discussed about the species present in the dermatophytes. So Trichophyton species include T. rubrum, T. mentophytes, T. sonsorans, T. sconileni, T. vilosum, and T. verrucosum. Whereas Microsporum species are M. gypsum, M. canis, and M. ordini. Whereas Epidermophyton species are Flocosum. Right? Then what are the clinical infections caused by the dermatophytes? So there are 5 types of clinical infections. One is Tinea captatis, which is a fungal infection to the scalp. Then Favus, which is also a scalp infection, but a severe form with hypersensitivity reaction. Then we have Tinea corporis, where the fungal infection will cause on the non-hairy part of the skin. And we have hair infection that includes ectothrix and endothrix. So these are the clinical infections caused by the dermatophyte fungus, dermatophytes simply. Okay, then lab diagnosis of dermatophytes. The specimen of choice will be skin, hair, or nail. Direct microscopic can done by 10% KOH. Culture can be done on SDA at the temperature around 25 to 30 degrees centigrade for 3 weeks to get the positive report. Then on the culture, we can able to identify these fungi depending upon their colony morphology, pigment production, and presence of absence of micro and macroconidia. With the help of these characteristic features, we can able to identify the type of dermatophyte which is causing infection in the patient. So let us see individual dermatophyte species and their characteristic features. Okay. So coming to the Trichophyton species, here we have T. rubrum, T. mentophytes. T. rubrum has microconidia with tear-shaped microconidia, whereas T. mentophytes, it has grape-like clusters microconidia. Then T. rubrum will cause red pigmentation on the reverse side of medium, whereas T. mentogrophytes, it won't cause no red pigmentation on the back side of the medium. Then T. rubrum is negative, urease negative, whereas T. mentogrophytes is urease positive. So these are the major differences between the T. rubrum and T. mentogrophytes. Then coming to the other things, such as the T. villosum, T. verrucosum, and T. sconinelli. T. villosum will cause violet colored colonies. T. verrucosum can be identified by the presence of chlamydia spores, whereas T. sconinelli can be identified by the presence of Attuluri hyphae. So this is how you can able to identify the Trichophyton species. After Trichophyton, we have Microsporum species. Microsporum species, we have three types: M. canis, M. gypsum, and M. ordini. M. canis is a feline infection. Feline infection means it will cause infection on both. Sorry, I cannot say feline on canine. Simply, they are the infections of dogs and cats. Okay, so these infections can occur in the dogs and cats. The hair will be in fluorescent yellow or green color. The macroconidia will be in spindle shape and it will have a round curved end. Okay, it will have a curved end at the tip. Okay, whereas in the M. gypsum, it is a geophilic in nature. That means it will present usually in the soil. Hair is not fluorescent. It is spindle shaped and round-ended edges. So the edges will be round-ended and no curve at the end. There is no curvature at the end. So this is how you can able to identify the differences between M. canis and M. gypsum. Then third one is Epidermophyton. So Epidermophyton is also a fungal infection that is caused by Epidermophyton flocosum. So this can be identified by presence of multi-branched club-shaped septated macroconidia. By the presence of this multi-branched septate macroconidia with round-tipped macroconidia, you can able to identify the Epidermophyton flocosum species. Then the treatment for dermatophytes will be, there are two types of treatments. One is topical application of antifungal agents. Second one is oral griseofulvin. So oral griseofulvin is the drug of choice for treating dermatophytal infections. So until here we have discussed since last lecture. So from today onwards we are moving to the second fungal infections, which is subcutaneous mycosis. So from today onwards we will discuss about subcutaneous mycosis. Okay. So is everything clear so far, students? Any more confusions until now in mycology? Actually, mycology is very simple. Only problem is the words, the complicated terms. That's it. Shall I proceed, students? Shall I proceed to the subcutaneous mycosis? Do you need any more explanations in this regard until here?
No,
Are you
sir.
listening? All right, very good. So please write your second topic in the unit 2, which is subcutaneous mycosis. So the subcutaneous mycosis means these are the fungi that can able to penetrate into the subcutaneous layer of the skin. So these fungi can able to penetrate to the subcutaneous layer of the skin, and they can cause hypersensitivity reactions. They can cause hypersensitivity reactions. Okay. So and also this subcutaneous mycosis, they will form tumors or how can I say? It's not tumors. They will cause these blobs on the surface of skin. Okay, they will form these nodules like nodules on the skin surface because of this immunological reaction, hypersensitivity reaction. They can cause tumors on the surface of skin. Okay, so that is one characteristic feature of subcutaneous mycosis. So let us see how many types of subcutaneous mycosis we have. So classification of subcutaneous mycosis, we have four important diseases. One is mycetoma. So this is how a mycetoma infection looks like. So here you can see the person's leg, okay, and here you can see the tumors. From this tumor you can see this abscess of the skin. Abscess means the skin has pores. From these pores you can see discharge of yellowish fluid. So this is how a Mycetoma infection looks like. And this particular fungal infection is more prevalent in the Madurai region of Tamil Nadu. So this was first identified in the Tamil Nadu region in South India. So there we have identified this particular infection. That is why this infection is also called as Madurai foot. Okay, this particular infection is also called Madurai foot because this infection has been firstly identified in the Madura. Okay, I think it was identified by a scientist called Gill that we will see later. So this is how a Mycetoma infection looks like. So this is one example of subcutaneous mycosis. So first one is Mycetoma. So this is a severe form of Mycetoma. Here you can see the tumors on the skin of the foot. Okay, so this is Mycetoma infection caused by a fungus. So never underestimate funguses. Okay, they can havoc our body like hell. This is one best example. So this is Mycetoma. Then second one is Chromomycosis. So this is how a Chromomycosis infection looks like. So this is Chromomycosis where you will see cauliflower-like nodules on the surface of skin. Okay, and one interesting or characteristic feature to identify chromomycotic infection is presence of these sclerotic bodies. Under microscope, we will find that this is sclerotic bodies. These bodies can be identified by a special stain called Nigrosin agar stain. Upon staining the fungal specimen with Nigrosin agar, we will identify these sclerotic bodies. Presence of sclerotic bodies is an identification feature for detection of chromomycotic infection. So this chromomycosis can be identified by presence of sclerotic bodies, and classically the infection forms cauliflower-like nodules on the surface of skin. Okay, so this is the second subcutaneous mycosis, which is chromomycosis. Then third one is sporotrichosis. That means this fungus will cause sporulations on the surface of skin. And this particular fungal infection will be acquired by thorn prick injuries. You will have these needles to the trees like your rose tree. Rose tree has needles, right? Through that needle injury, that thorn prick injury, you will get this sporotrichotic infection. It is generally present in the trees. Okay, so this sporotrichotic infection will be catched by the thorn prick injury. Usually, this thorn prick injury happens to the gardeners, especially the gardeners who are farming the flowers, especially if it is rose flowers. So they are more prone to get this sporotrichotic infection. That is why this sporotrichotic infection is also called as gardener's disease. This infection is also called as gardener's disease because this infection mostly seen among the gardeners. This infection is captured by thorn prick injuries. Hence, it is more prevalent among the gardeners. Hence, it is called as gardener's disease. Okay, sporotrichosis is also called as gardener's disease. This particular fungi will migrate through our lymphatic channels, and the patient will show spores on the surface of skin along the way of lymphatic vessels. Okay, so this particular subcutaneous fungal infection is called as sporotrichosis. Then the last and final fungus infection, or the last and final subcutaneous mycosis, is Rhinosphorodiosis. So what is this Rhinosphorodiosis? As the name suggests, rhino or rhine means nose. Okay, this nose lip is called as rhine. So this particular fungus will cause infection to the nose. What type of infection? It will cause sporulations within the nose. That is why this particular disease is called as rhinosphorodiosis. Not only in the nose, it will also cause infection in the mucosal layers of our body. In the mucosal layers of our body. I will show you how a rhinosporodic infection looks like. So this is the nose of a person, and here you can see a growth of a tumor emerging from inside the nose. So this particular infection is the rhinosporodiotic infection. So this rhinosporodiotic infection is caused to the nose. Okay, You can also see Rhinosphorodiosis to the eye. So this is also a rhinosporodiotic infection, which happened to be an eye. Okay, it is the mucosal. It is the serous layer of the eye. So this is how the rhinosporodiosis looks like. So these are the 4 subcutaneous mycosis that we need to concentrate with in the syllabus. So there are totally 4 types of subcutaneous mycosis: Mycetoma, Chromomycosis, Sporotrichosis, and Rhinosporodiosis. Mycetoma is most common in the South India, in the Madurai of Tamil Nadu, whereas Chromomycosis can be identified by presence of sclerotic bodies and cauliflower-like nodules on the surface of skin. Whereas Sporotrichosis, it is also called as gardener's disease, which this infection caused um, by a thorn prick injury. Then you have Rhinosporodiosis. Now, students, I would like to tell one important thing. Among these 4 fungal diseases, few funguses are dimorphic fungi in nature. I think it is Sporotrichosis, but I have to revise the topic, the notes once. But there are few dimorphic fungi among these subcutaneous mycosis, and you need to be very clear about it. Okay, if you write dimorphic fungi to a non-dimorphic fungi, that will be an absolute blunder mistake. So never do such blunder mistakes. Okay, or even in the exams or in the real laboratory, it indicates that you don't know anything. So, and you may kill the patient by giving wrong diagnosis to them. So there are few dimorphic fungi that we will discuss later. So as of now, there are 4 types of subcutaneous mycosis that include Mycetoma, Chromomycosis, Sporotrichosis, and Rhinosporodiosis. So let us start with the first fungi, which is Mycetoma. So now I will discuss in detail about Mycetoma. If I have time, I will move on to the Chromomycosis also. So let us try to finish 2 fungi today, starting with Mycetoma. Is it clear so far, students? Any doubts until here? No doubts, right?
No, sir.
Okay. So now I will start with Mycetoma first. So Mycetoma. So what is Mycetoma? So let us see the Mycetoma. Okay, introduction to Mycetoma. So this Mycetoma is it is a subcutaneous mycosis. So here you can see how a Mycetoma infection looks like. So here you can see formation of tumors with abscess on the surface of skin, and you can see discharge of yellowish fluid from this abscess. Okay, so this is a Mycetoma infection. So this is a severe form of Mycetoma infection where the patient almost half of his foot has been destroyed by this Mycetoma fungi. You can also see here. So this is also a Mycetoma infection, but a less severe form of Mycetoma infection. And this is a healed Mycetoma infection. Now, there is a huge difference between these 2 pictures. The major difference is presence of black color thing inside the abscess. Here you can see black color discharge from the abscess, whereas here you can see white color discharge from the abscess. So depending upon the color of the discharge, we can able to identify the individual species of Mycetoma. There are few Mycetoma that will discharge black colored pus, whereas there are few Mycetoma species that will discharge yellow color pus. So understanding the species is also a concern to give a proper treatment to the patient. So that we will discuss in this particular lecture. Okay. So coming to the Mycetoma. So this Mycetoma is classically called as, it is a chronic granulomatous infection of the subcutaneous tissue. It is a chronic granulomatous infection to the subcutaneous tissue. That means it is a chronic infection where we will see granules on the surface of the subcutaneous tissue, or simply subcutaneous part of the skin. It is a chronic granules forming subcutaneous tissue infection. Okay, usually this infection happens on the foot. Okay, and rarely seen in other parts of the body. Commonly this infection happens to the foot. Okay, it will cause infection to the foot. Then this disease was first described by Gill in 1842. So Gill said that this particular infection is caused by a fungi, but he don't know what type of fungus it is. Okay, then came it was first discovered in the South India in Madurai. Okay, then there is a scientist named Carter. What this Carter said is, this Carter associated this particular mycetoma to a particular fungi. Okay, he said this there is one particular fungi called Madura mycosis. This Madura mycosis is responsible for mycetoma. Okay, or Madura foot. That infection is also called Madura foot. So Carter has given the origin of the exact reason for this infection, whereas Gill proposed this infection first time to the world, where he observed this in Madurai from South India. Okay, this particular infection is very common in Tamil Nadu. Even I have seen many people with this particular infection on the roads. Okay, so very unfortunate people actually. Unfortunately, fungal infections are very common in South India because of the humid temperature, humid climate. Because of humid climate, there is a high chance of getting these fungal infections. By the way, fungus loves moisture a lot. If there is any moisture environment, definitely there is a chance of getting fungal growth. That is why you should not keep any liquid or water in your pickles. If you keep any water drops or if you moisturize the pickles, means they will get spoiled. They will spoil because of this fungal formation. So always try to avoid moisture contamination of edible items. Moisture will enhance the fungus to grow. Unfortunately, in South India, since it is a humid region, since it is a tropical country, there is a high humidity in the atmosphere, and this humid atmosphere uh, gives attraction to the to catch this particular fungal infections. So that is why you need to be cautious. And also, personally, I'm telling you, students, whenever you are taking bath, after taking bath, please wipe your body properly. Okay, many of I have seen. Okay, many of our cousins, what they will do upon taking bath, immediately they will wear their shirt. Immediately they will wear their shirt and pant without properly cleaning their body with water here and there on their body. That is not at all good actually. This water will act as a good reagent, okay, for growth of fungus. These people may get fungal infections easily in their groin region, in their hair also. The first problem for getting dandruff is due to improper drying of your hair. Improper drying of hair can result in formation of dandruff. So always try to remember this particular point. So this is my take-home message from mycology. So be yourself neat and dry always. Okay, never get moisture and never be unhygiene. So obviously, good hygiene habits are always good. And one thing about in it is staying dry always. Never moisture yourself. Okay. Um, uh, I will add one more point here. How many of you know that if you are roaming in the rain, if you are happily playing in the rain, there is a high chance of getting cold to you. You may also get some fever. You know what is the reason? That cold is induced because of fungal infection. You will get a very pleasant smell from the soil upon getting this rain. That pleasant smell is released by a spores present in a dry sand, okay, dry mud. Those spores are actually fungal spores. So whenever you become wet in the rain, immediately take a hot shower in the home. Okay, this hot shower can able to destroy the any spores or any debris. Okay, any pathogens, possible fungal pathogens from your body. But always ensure never moisture yourself. Never become moisture. Okay, that will cause fungal infections. Just see mycetoma here, how deadly it is, and there is no cure. At one particular point, the only option to save the patient life is to amputate the leg. You need to cut his leg to keep him alive. So very deadly infections. I'm not even going to systemic. Systemic are far more deadly. They will cause brain infection. That is different story. So the first one is mycetoma. Okay. So mycetoma is also it will cause chronic granulomatous infection to subcutaneous tissue. Usually it will cause infection to the foot. So this disease first described by Gill in from Madurai, South India, and Carter has given the origin of infection to this particular thing. This mycetoma is all the infection caused by mycetoma is also called Madura foot, or it is also called as Madura mycosis or Madurai fungal infection. By the way, the nomenclature of this particular name has so much critics around the globally, because you should not attribute any disease to the local region. That showcases that will demerit the region. So there is a huge debate ongoing to replace this particular Madura mycosis with a more medical term. Okay, so that is different story. That is why COVID-19, even though we have detected it in China, we didn't say it is a China virus. Rather than we went with the year of detection of the particular virus. Nowadays, the World Health Organization and IUPAC, this nomenclature committee, has strictly given a new guidelines on never keep naming depending upon the region or these cultural things. Okay, that is different story. So this is the brief introduction to the mycetoma. Are you listening, me students? Any
Yes,
doubts
sir.
so far?
Yes, sir.
No, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
No, sir. No.
Okay,
No,
fine.
sir.
Okay, I can understand why you are saying no. Okay, uh, got it. So next, pathogenesis of mycetoma, students. So pathogenesis means it is the mechanism of getting disease. The mechanism of disease is called as pathogenesis. Patho means disease, genesis, production. How the disease has been originated, or the production of disease. Production is not an appropriate word. Uh, it is the formation of disease. So that is called as pathogenesis. So let us see the pathogenesis of this particular fungi. Okay, mycetoma. So the causative organism is believed to be entered the body through minor trauma. So this fungus will enter into our body through any minor trauma. That means you should have some open wound. Okay, from this open wound, this fungus will enter into our body. Upon entering, this disease begins as a subcutaneous swelling, usually of foot, which enlarges and burrows into deeper. So first you will observe swelling of your foot. You won't see anything. You will see a small swelling of your foot. Okay. Upon swelling, the foot will become enlarged. The skin of the foot will get enlarged. After enlargement of this particular area, now this enlarged foot will burrows deeper into the tissue. From this enlarged swelling area, you will see. Yeah, I'm getting called. Just a second, students. Who are they? Okay, so can you hear me, students? Actually, I'm in a call, sorry.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, can you see my screen, by the way? Is it visible to you? No.
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, now you can see it. Now you can see it. Let me come to the point. Sorry, students, actually, some meeting, some small discussion. Okay, so where am I? Previously, pathogenesis, right? Pathogenesis of mycetoma, right? Array, yaar, why my screen is on? Yeah, just a second. This app is not available. Very good. Just a second. Okay, so coming to the pathogenesis of mycetoma. I'm really sorry, students. I know it is really irritating to you. Anyway, so pathogenesis of mycetoma. So first, what happens? There should be any minor cut in the skin. Then through this minor cut, the fungus will enter into the body. Then you will see a short swelling of the skin. Upon swelling, it will become enlarged. The swelling become enlarged. From this enlarged tumor, the fungus will burrow deep into the skin. The fungus will itself migrate into the deeper parts of the skin. Okay. After migration of this fungi into the deeper parts of the skin, it will form characteristic abscess. It will form holes in the skin. Okay, these particular skin holes are called as abscess. Okay, now from these abscess you will see formation of multiple sinuses. Multiple sinuses means multiple small holes or pores will be seen in the skin. From these small sinuses, they will start discharging viscid seropurulent fluid containing granules. So it will discharge yellow color viscid seropurulent fluid with that contains granules. So that will be discharged from the skin like this. Okay. So first organism will enter through a minor cut. From this minor cut, there will be a swallowing. Okay. After the swallowing, it will enlarge.
Excuse me,
After
sir.
enlargement, it will form a sinuses. Yeah.
So slide is not visible, sir.
Slide is not visible.
Yes,
Actually,
sir.
Yes, sir.
my screen, I'm sharing it. Or
It's not visible.
okay, let me go through it again. Why? How can I? MS Teams. You can't see anything now.
No, sir.
No, sir.
Seriously. Ongoing Teams. Stop sharing. Share. Sharing. Share screen. Then I will go to the WhatsApp.
No, it's visible.
Yes, it's visible. I got it. Alright, it's a small topic, but this technical difficulties making it. Can you see now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Thank you very much, students. So this is the pathogenesis. Very simple. Okay, you will get swallowing, then you will get enlargement. Then from this enlargement, fungus will go deep into the skin. It will form abscess. From this abscess, you will see multiple sinuses. Multiple sinuses means multiple holes. From these holes, it will start discharging viscid seropurulent pus. Okay, that in this pus you will see granules. You will see black color granules or yellow color, pink color. So depending upon the type of, depending upon the color of the granules, we can able to identify what type of fungus is it. Okay, so this is the pathogenesis of mycetoma. So now there are two types of mycetoma, students. There are two types of mycetoma. One is Mycetoma and the other one is Actinomycetoma. Okay, so Mycetoma and Actinomycetoma. So the major difference between Mycetoma and Actinomycetoma is Mycetoma it will cause other than food in the body. So Actinomycetoma will cause infection to the foot, whereas Mycetoma will cause infection other than foot, such as your back. See here how much uncomfortable this Mycetoma to this patient. So really painful, really sad to see these images of the patients. So this Mycetoma is characterized by Mycetoma infection other than the foot of the body. Such Mycetoma infection is called Mycetoma, and foot infection is called as Actinomycetoma. So this Mycetoma is caused by certain species, such as Mycetoma is caused by, you can remember any one name, students, such as Madurella mycetomatis. So Madurella mycetomatis is an example for Mycetoma. So this Madurella mycetomatis can be identified by presence of black colored granules in the pus. In the skin abscess, you will see black colored granules. So presence of black colored granules is an identifying feature for identifying the Madurella mycetomatis, which is a new mycetoma. Then second one is Actinomycetoma. This Actinomycetoma will cause infection to the foot. This is important for us because this is most common around the world. So this Actinomycetoma is caused by 4 types of species. So those 4 fungal species are Actinomadura madure, A. pelliteri, Nocardia brasiliensis, and Streptomyces somaliensis. Okay, so Nocardia brasiliensis, Streptomyces somaliensis, Actinomadura madure are examples for Actinomycetoma. So Actinomadura madure will cause white to yellowish granules. A. pelliteri will cause red color granules. Nocardia will show white color granules, whereas Streptomyces somaliensis will show yellow color granules in the body. So these are the species of mycetoma. Okay, so we have Mycetoma and Actinomycetoma. Mycetoma is caused by Madurella mycetomatis, which shows black color grains, whereas Actinomycetoma is caused by Actinomadura madure, A. pelliteri, Nocardia brasiliensis, and Streptomyces somaliensis. Actinomadura madure will show yellow color granules, A. pelliteri will show red color granules, Nocardia will show white color granules, whereas Streptococcus somaliensis will show yellow color granules. Okay, so this is how you can identify the species of the fungi. Then actually these images I didn't got from the Baweja textbook, so I have took it from random internet resources. So at least you need to know at least 3 to 4 pictures of this Madurella species. So first is Acrimonium or Actinomadura mycetosis, which is caused by a fungi called Acrimonium falciform. So this is how an Acrimonium falciform looks like. Then Streptococcus somaliensis looks like this, and Actinomadura pelleti looks like this. So these are the few pictures of the Mycetoma species. Okay, this you need to remember. Then treatment for Mycetoma. So the best treatment for Mycetoma will be actinomycotic mycetoma usually responds well to sulfonamides and antibiotics. So you can use sulfonamides and antibiotics for the treatment of this particular Madurella infection. Okay, but mostly mycetoma infections require amputation, very painful. Usually the only treatment for mycetoma infection will be removing or cutting that foot, right? So it seems there is no proper treatment to mycetoma. You need to go for amputation because it won't respond to antifungal agents easily. That is why we are going with amputation. If not, it will burrow deep into the skin and it will cause systemic infection, which will be even more deadlier. So better to save the patient life, we should go with amputation. Okay, sometimes this mycetoma infection may require amputation. Okay, so treatment, again saying, so treatment can be done by using sulfonamides or antibiotics. There is a specific drug for this particular mycetoma. The drug I got from the internet, which is a cotrimazole, procrimazole or streptomycin. So streptomycin, cotrimazole or dapsone can be used for treating this mycetoma infection. Okay, so that's it, students. This is all about mycetoma. In my next lecture, I will discuss about chromomycosis.
Excuse
So
me,
a
sir.
quick yes, Simon.
Sir, amputation means, sir, what it means, sir?
Amputation means removing of leg or removing of anything from body is called amputation. Usually it will be legs or hands. Complete removing
Okay,
of hand or complete removing of leg is called amputation.
okay, sir. Understood, sir.
Yeah, amputation means removing a limb of the body. It can be a leg or it can be a hand. Okay, a quick revision of mycetoma. Mycetoma is a type of subcutaneous mycosis. It is caused by this infection is classically called as chronic granulomatous infection to the subcutaneous tissue. This is first described by the Gill and Carter in the mycetoma.
It is not being downloaded in that.
Sir, you can upload existing format,
Existing forward means
existing template to upload mark.
which one?
Okay, what you are saying is you are unable to download that sheet, right? Excel
Sir,
sheet.
please open it once iCloud.
Wait, sir. 2 minutes.
Okay, no issue.
Okay, students, I think everything is clear for you. So I'm just going through it. Okay, so this is the introduction to mycetoma, and this is the pathogenesis of mycetoma, where the fungi will enter into the body through a minor cut. Then it will cause swallowing. Then it will cause enlargement. Then it will cause pus formation. Then it will form sinuses, abscess, and you will see discharge of pus, seropurulent viscid pus. Then there are two types of mycetoma. One is eumycetoma and the other one is actinomycetoma. Eumycetoma means it will cause infection to the infection on the body other than the foot, whereas foot fungal infection is called actinomycetoma. Eumycetoma is occurred by the Mozzarella mycetomatis, whereas actinomycetoma is occurred by Actinomycetoma madrei, Apilati, Nocardia brasiliensis, and Streptomyces somaliensis. Then lab diagnosis include you can use clometrazole, streptomycin, dapsone, sulfonamides or antibiotics. Mostly the patient may require amputation to treat the patient. So this is all about the mycetoma. Thank you very much, students. If I have any doubts, you can ask me, I will end this session. Can I end this session? Any doubts?
One question, sir.
Okay, thank you very much, students.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, see you. I'm ending this. Thank you very much. You can leave, everyone.